Mr. Lippman, Stephen Miller, basically the policy boss in Trump world. He denies that he had any involvement with Project 2025, but the effort previously touted his involvement, said that he was part of this. Please decode for normal Americans what's going on here.
Well, Project 2025 is an action plan by the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank that's very Trump-aligned. On policy, they have this hundreds of pages of what a Trump administration would do. They are trying to build this personnel database of Republicans who want to join the Trump administration. One of their key elements is something called Schedule F, which would make it that civil servants in the U.S. government many of them could get fired if they have a policy role. And so Democrats are using this as a cudgel and saying, hey, if you elect Trump, then you're going to get a bunch of former Trump campaign interns who are deciding on how our food safety rules should be regulated, things like that, things that should be non-political. And so they're kind of beating the drum on this.
So, Tia, last week, RNC Chairman Michael Whatley told us on this very telecast that there would be essentially no changes. There would be no alterations to the way the Republicans did their platform. Republicans who, by the way, didn't do a platform in 2020 at all. But it is clear now that the Republicans are going to try to stifle pro-lifers, it looks like, in Milwaukee. That would be politically helpful for Republicans, right, if they did not have a staunch pro-life plank in their platform and they also avoided the public debate.
I think you're making a good point. What's politically helpful for Republicans now, up through November, is probably or potentially not going to reflect what is the reality of a Trump administration if he is sworn in January. So I think a lot of people who are reading Project 2025, aware of the ties between the Heritage Foundation and the Trump administration, aware that a lot of the points in the document are things that Trump has touched upon, you know, limiting access to abortion, crackdowns on immigration, wanting to reshape the federal government and drain the swamp. Yes, the document may take it further and enumerate it in ways that Trump doesn't want to align himself with now, but that does not mean he won't embrace it should he get sworn in.
Are you suggesting that a politician would distance himself from policies that were inconvenient in the general election and then do it anyway?
Could you imagine?
Could you imagine anything like that?
And you know something has kind of crossed the pop culture Rubicon when John Oliver devoted a 20-minute segment to deconstructing Project 2025, which got millions of hits on YouTube.
Well, there's no accounting for taste. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.